Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Smartest Guy in the Room. Jerry Dempsey, your host, joined with my good pal, Matt Smith. Matt, what's going on, buddy?
Not a lot. It won't warm up here in Albany. It's fucking freezing still. Every day I take my dog for a walk, I have to wear a hat and a fucking parka.
Do you know in North Carolina, like a snow hat or whatever it is you got on your head, you know what they call it here?
What?
They have a colloquial term, a fucking toboggan. It's a true story. A while back,
They call
went on
it toboggans?
Yeah, you could look it up. Don't ask me why. I don't know the etymology of the fucking word. It's just one more reason the South is fucked up. But I was on a ski trip with a bunch of people, and we were heading out, to the lift, and this one gal was like, "Oh, I forgot my toboggan." And I look at her and I'm like, "We're going skiing. You don't need a toboggan." She's like, "No, for my head." And I'm like, "You wear a sled on your head?"
Yeah, do they have any idea what a toboggan is?
No. That's the funny thing is, like, when you tell them, no, it's a sled that you go sledding at Chestnut Ridge on, they all look at you like you're the asshole.
Well, I mean, they're called hats or toques here, but
Yeah, I don't know where toboggan comes from, and I've never researched it, and I don't plan on it. Any of our listeners, take an action item, you want to do that, have at it.
Send us an email from the South about why a hat is called a toboggan.
Yeah, so two things before we jump in. One, it's unseasonably cold here, too. I went out for a little jog. I call it a jog walk. Unlike Pisley, I'm not going to integrate the two words because that's just stupid. But, like, it was cold and it's rainy. And I don't know if you noticed, but we have a gas crisis all of a sudden here in the South. And
that's what I
like
hear.
An idiot, I went out this morning. I got a quarter of a tank of gas, so I'm not too worried. But at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to shoot out and get some gas before all the idiots get up and line up at the gas station. Well, I drove by the sheets, and there are already like 10 cars out into the street waiting to get fucking gas.
Yeah, so, the Russians hacked us. Now there's a potential gas shortage.
I have a new concept when I hear shit like it was the Russians or it was, dark web, or it's a fucking lie. And here's what I mean specifically. I worked in the tech world, and that doesn't make me an expert, but I know that you can fucking lock down any network if it's vital enough with enough money. You notice Amazon hasn't gotten hacked, right? And they have the most omnipresent, whatever the right word is, array of data centers around the fucking globe, okay? Amazon Web Services is like the #1 web hosting cloud fucking offer in the world. They don't get hacked. So some asshole at Colonial needs to get his ass fired. And, I would never say like a conspiracy theorist, like it's an inside job. But if some idiot could fucking bring down a network that brings 10 states to call a state of emergency just by a few clicks and a fucking mouse movement, that's a fucked up problem.
My Amazon account gets hacked. Wish Amazon would do fucking something about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's security out there to make anything secure. That's what I do know. And usually it's stupid things like leaving your password as password.
Password 123.
Exactly. So
hey, Jerry, I see you're dressed up today. Looking like a businessman. Does that have anything to do with our topic?
Certainly does, Matt. Thanks for asking. Today, if anyone has a pulse or is on social media or reads a newspaper, if people still do that, there's this phenomenon in the cryptocurrency / investing world known as the DOGE. I believe it's called DOGE. What's your take on that? What I've heard it called other things.
I would pronounce it Doge, but because the symbol is that dog, I often wonder if it's some type of variation on doggy coin instead of Dogecoin. But
I've heard both of those.
Let's go with Dogecoin for the purpose of this show today.
Well, and I'm going to slap myself after I say this, but I did watch Saturday Night Live for the first time in probably like 100 years, and it was awful.
Oh
Um,
God.
the funny thing was, I mean, I was cheering for them to be funny. Like I wasn't sitting there like, oh, this isn't funny. Oh, this is stupid. Like I wasn't playing that game. I was like, come on, just please be funny. I hope this is funny.
Well, yeah,
You know?
I mean, you cheer for them to be funny because you're investing an hour and a half in it, and it's
Well, I
just
just want to see some cleverness, or at least them have fun. Like seeing other people have fun is in itself inherently like, oh, I'd like to be a part of the fun they're having. Would you
right.
agree with that?
Well, again, yeah. So to get into the whole Dogecoin topic, my son called me the other day and said you should put all of your money that you've got in the stock market because I was talking to him about how my stocks, and I don't have that much money invested right now, but I was talking to him a couple of days ago about how I had a couple stocks that were just tanking, and I was patient, but they had been tanking for quite a while, and I didn't know what to do. And so he called me and said, "Hey, Elon Musk is on SNL." He's like, you don't have that much money in the market right now. Just put everything into Dogecoin,
Yeah.
see what happens. And he's like, because based on what he says, it could take off. And so I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the price was moving rapidly for about 24 hours in the build up to the show. And then so I watched the show for the first time in a while. And I'm not one of these people who are always like, SNL hasn't been funny since 1979. They've had some casts that have worked, and it's gone through some rejuvenation periods. But my lord, that show Saturday might have been the least funny SNL I'd ever seen in my life.
I just kind of felt bad for them, to be honest with you.
It was
I
just,
don't. Go ahead.
yeah, it was just terrible. Go ahead.
So, like, what I didn't like specifically, and I'm not going to critique the show, I'm going to speak specifically to Musk and him being on there. I didn't think that he did okay for whatever he was trying to accomplish, with the exception of when, they must have goaded him into calling Doge a. Because first off, people don't even know what the fuck that means. So if anything, he just confused people more by saying Doge is a hustle,
Mhm.
right? I remember, I don't know where you were when you first heard about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, but I probably heard about it in 2014, 2015. And I would call myself a stock market enthusiast. I have a portfolio. I actually have an investment guy, right? I'm one of those assholes that's like, I got a guy. But, very smart person. He babysits our money, doesn't let me do anything stupid with it. He did let me throw down some fuck you money on some marijuana stocks. But outside of that, he's very responsible from a financial standpoint. But, long story short, I asked him about Bitcoin circa 2015, and he just laughed at me and told me to stay the fuck away from that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So whatever that means to you. Now, that being said, I also on the side, now he's got my money that I care about. I have a TD Ameritrade account that I kind of play around with. And again, he would punch me upside the head if I said it, but it's like to me, it's like fun gambling money. I went to Atlantic City. The worst amount of money I ever blew in my life was about $2,000. I was in Atlantic City with some friends. I had about 2 grand in cash, and my goal was to get drunk and blow it all. And you know what, Matt? I was pretty successful. And I
Yeah.
kept winning, and I kept trying to blow it. I just kept throwing more down on like the craps table, the blackjack. Hit me at 19, making everyone angry at me at the little table. Have you ever hit it 18 or 19 or whenever you're not supposed to?
No, I never have.
Have you ever played blackjack in a casino? Because
No.
that can be pretty nerve wracking if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
No, I never have.
Well, I wouldn't advise it then, because you'd probably get really angry and get in a fight with someone. If you take a card when you're not supposed to, the whole table will start yelling at you.
Yeah, I've seen fights almost break out at blackjack tables at casinos, but
Yeah.
uh, they opened a casino here in Schenectady, and Schenectady has some problems with street gangs and violence and drugs and corrupt police departments. And I watched a fight almost break out at a blackjack table in Schenectady, and it was, thugs, street thugs, and they both drew guns at the same time, and it was friggin' horrifying. Everyone just like
ran for cover.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh.
So, but to go back to SNL, so the gist, that show had a massive viewership.
Yep.
Because everybody was interested to see what Elon Musk, whose tweets and whose comments about Dogecoin are extremely influential. And that's probably an understatement. He's probably the most influential person on the planet when it comes to Dogecoin. And so everyone thought the stock would take off while he was on the show, and instead his appearance had the opposite effect. The stock absolutely plummeted. So as I watched this god fucking awful show, that was not funny, I was also losing money at a rapid pace. And I got to tell you, watching SNL tank was far more painful than watching the stock tank, because it was just such an unfunny show. But as I said, and what we're talking about here today is just how the stock tanked when he was
herd mentality is alive and well in the human. We like to segment ourselves from animals, but you can only get so far away from the animal instincts that exist in all of us. And when you see it, just like the gas crisis that's been created, especially here in North Carolina, that I drove around for about 30 minutes this morning, and wasted a lot of gas, which ironically enough, and I could not find one gas station that even had gas. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's only been 3 days since that thing got shut down.
Yeah.
So it only took 3 days to bring North Carolina to its damn knees. And it's not because we're out of gas. It's because everyone went out and started stocking up like the toilet paper craze during COVID.
Toilet paper, you're right.
It's the exact same thing, and with Doge, we'll get to that, but I want to just, throughout time, there's been ever since there's been, a guy exchanged loaves for fishes back in the Bible days, our market economy is based on trade, whether it's I got something I want to trade you, or it's you trade your labor for some kind of other reward like food and clothing and shelter, etc. And when it comes to these stock markets, the first, anyone will tell you about the tulip debacle back in the 1600s or whatever. I didn't research it too much, but I'm well aware of it. Anyone that takes Econ 101, go ahead.
Did you just say anyone will tell you about the tulip debacle of 1600?
Something like that, in the 1600s. Well, people get funny about details. Like anyone you talk to that has I was just about to say, anyone that's taken an Econ 101 will talk about guns and butter, and then they will talk about the tulip bubble, because it was the first or most historic bubble. People went out, basically bought a bunch of tulips, drove the price up on tulips, flowers, right, from Denmark or wherever. Someone's going to be calling in and fact checking me, so I'm going to get killed here.
Well, tulips are a really big thing in Albany, because Albany has a Dutch heritage, and the main park here is overrun with tulips, and every May they hold a tulip festival here in Albany. But I've never heard of the tulip bubble.
Oh yeah, it's real famous. And basically the price of tulips kept going up, and speculation, and people were getting loans and going to loan sharks to buy. I mean, and then it collapsed because no one gave a fuck about tulips. And so, if you think about the world as a Ponzi scheme, I mean, you can almost compare everything in our natural world to some kind of pyramid / Ponzi scheme. because it only works if we keep bringing in new people.
Yeah.
So as the price of tulips kept going up and up and up, the supply of people to buy into said tulip market was going down, 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 down. And then you get to a point where nobody else to buy in, then, you can't sell. Like I don't know what you bought at, but there are people out there that probably bought $100,000 worth of Doge coin at 70 cents a coin, which I believe is, it might have got a little higher. I don't remember exactly how high it got, maybe 74 cents.
I think it got to 74.
Yeah. So there's people out there right now that bought at 74 that are holding. Right? Yeah. And if it goes down to a penny, they're going to shit their pants, right? And I don't know if you did any research on it, but 6 months ago, the stock was trading below a penny, like 0.008. Okay? Right. And before that, it was 0.0002, like 3 O's and a 2. So 2 1,000ths of a penny or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I bought it around, I think it was 60, I think I bought it at.
Yeah, well, I bought a bunch at 5 cents. I bought a bunch at 20 cents. I bought a bunch at 40 cents. So, I mean, I have a healthy amount. But again, that's all money that right now, I wouldn't give a shit. So, fortunately for me, I have that luxury. Not a lot of people do. So, they're taking their future rent money or money they need to pay bills or gas money. And those are the people that are going to fuck themselves, because if they need access to that money anytime soon, time is your friend in this situation. Because if you can buy it and hold it, if it goes down, the idea should be, you don't bitch when milk goes down at the store, right? You go buy more. So if they discount some kind of commodity that you want to consume, you're happy. The coin itself, the only real risk I see, again, from a casual investor perspective, is that if somehow whoever, somehow it was corrupted and someone took all the money and ran away with it, like a Bernie Madoff kind of situation.
Right.
Which, again, I'm not a stockbroker, not an analyst. I have no credentials with respect to investing. So I don't see the downside other than that. But again, if you're going to put, if I went out and took a second mortgage on my house and threw down $300,000, and it went to hell, well, then I got real problems.
Yeah, you talk about the herd mentality and that whole incident on Saturday night with Musk on SNL and the stock plummeting based on what he said. I mean, it was, I found the whole thing hilarious in a way, because this was a comedy show. It wasn't like a CNBC report from the floor of the stock market. It was a comedy show.
Yep.
And, those lines were written for him, by comedy writers, so for him calling it a hustle, for him saying Dogecoin was a hustle, it was a joke. It was a joke written by someone else.
Right.
That he was such a bad actor, you could tell he was reading everything from the cue cards.
I felt like he didn't want to say that because he knew that there'd be real repercussions.
Right. But, I mean, again, for the stock to move like it did downward so fast because of him delivering a line like that, or his mother at the beginning of the show saying, I hope you didn't buy me Dogecoin for Mother's Day. Both of those remarks apparently had sent the stock south. Those weren't spoken from an analyst. They were comedic lines written by comedic writers that, he was saying as part of a script. So to see that kind of reaction was just a case study in how nutty society is. And also how powerful one man is, Well,
first off, he's a pretty rich guy. He runs one of the most interesting sets of companies in the world, right? And again, when you think of CEOs, you think of overpaid, you don't know what they do or how they earn that value. There are a lot of them that deserve to be filthy rich because they're way smarter than a lot of other people, and they've invested a lot more time and energy into building a company. And you know, but all that said, most CEOs do not talk to the press. I mean, even when I worked at a publicly traded company, um, we were told you don't ever talk to the press. You'll talk to them during the quiet period. Um, and there'd be times, I was just a sales rep, but I know like anyone that was a VP or up had to be very careful about what they said, right?
Yeah, sure.
Um, when I was at this company and living in Silicon Valley when the dot-com bubble burst, and we were told we couldn't sell because there'd be like a herd mentality to sell off. And it wasn't, again, you weren't ordered to. It was kind of a whisper thing, right?
Right.
And I remember talking to my investment consultant then, and he told me a story of a dot-com CEO. I didn't do too badly, but I lost some money. Um, he told me about this dot-com CEO that, on paper one day, he was worth about 7-8 million bucks, right? And when the stock started to falter, he took out a margin loan, which is you take out a loan against your own potential earnings, which again, we're starting to get fluffier in terms of real assets, right? um, and he bought more stock in the company as a show of faith to his employees. Well, the stock continued right down to almost nothing. So the man went from being worth $8 million one day to now being in debt like 4 or 5 million. so, so I'm glad I'm not him.
Yeah, I don't know much about the stock market, and I don't have a shitload of money. What I invest is like just some play money that, thankfully if I kind of forget it's there, so it's not really money that's in my budget for anything. But and I know nothing about the stock market, but I was saying to my son, I'm like, and I don't even know what like moves stocks and things like that. But I was saying to my son before the SNL episode that I anticipated the stock to actually to not take off. I didn't think it was going to go down as rapidly as it did, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think it was going to take off. And my reasoning was, you know, what if he went on there and and I have to imagine there are people at the SEC, and I don't know how the SEC works necessarily, but I imagine that there were people on the from the SEC who were tuned into that show to watch to see whether or not he was going to say something that they could have come back and pointed their finger at and said market manipulation.
Yep.
So, from that context, I thought uh, it was going to be a disappointment in terms of,
Yep.
people thinking the stock was going to take off.
Well,
Um,
that happened to him already, right?
right, right.
So yeah.
Exactly. So, but again, for the market to react the way it did over jokes on a very unfunny show,
Yeah.
it just it
Well,
it was really it was a very interesting lesson about society. And and I'm not here to talk like a stock expert, because my advice, if I had any advice for people investing in stocks, is to look at what I'm investing in and do something else, because everything I touch turns to shit. I do nothing but lose money in the stock market. So I don't even fucking know what I'm doing. But um, it's again, this was I'm approaching this more from a case study of society than. And by the way, now that I'm just thinking of it, you mentioned the toilet paper shortage
mm-hmm.
during the pandemic, as kind of something similar that's going on now with the uh, potential gas shortage down south. I was reading something not too long ago that said during the actual energy crisis in the 1970s,
Mm-hmm.
there was simultaneously a toilet paper shortage. Because during that energy crisis, people didn't know what to expect, and they went out and they cleared this shopping the supermarkets and
Yeah.
toilet paper as well. So
Well, they do it here every time there's like a threat
hurricane.
of a hurricane. All
Yeah.
the water, you can't find water anywhere.
Right.
So it's pretty consistent in terms of just the herd mentality. And I mean, we just saw it also. This has obviously caused people in the government to get all up in arms, and what's sad about it is you see now like how oblivious some of our government officials are as to what goes on in the real world, and it kind of makes me feel bad for the government. I mean, they make themselves look so stupid with some of their rudimentary questions that they should, even if they had a fact sheet, you know what a fact sheet is, right?
Yeah.
Even if they had a fucking fact sheet,
It was still the right one.
they would have they would have the brains to not even ask some of the fucking questions they ask.
Right.
And but like when that GameStop stock shot through the roof, I mean, it was trading at like $3-4, and that's like a Blockbuster type operation.
Right.
Blockbuster, held on for dear life for many years past its own kind of worth, we'll say. And I don't know if I don't know if it was publicly traded. It probably was back in the day, but like that GameStop had no business going from $4 to like 400 and something. And again, the people that owned it at $4 watched it shoot up to 400. And the correlation I was trying to make before was there are people who had probably 1 million shares of the stock when it was 0.0003 or 0.002. Okay? If you do the multiple, the quick multiple from 0.008 to 74 cents is 92 times. So $10,000 bought at 0.008 at 74 cents becomes a lot of fucking money. I didn't do the math.
So, by the way, Elon Musk has money wrapped up in our hometown in Buffalo. He's got that. They have that Tesla factory in Buffalo, the Gigafactory that builds
what's going on with that?
Clean energy and storage products. But what's going on with that actually is they were supposed to create 1,500 jobs in South Buffalo. They created 800, and they're well short of their promised mark because they had a lot of tax breaks associated with their job target numbers, and
right.
The state just gave them an extra year to meet their 1,500 job creation target, which Tesla said suffered during the pandemic. So, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not a hater of Elon Musk. I've got issues with billionaires from a morality standpoint, but I want to see that plant in Buffalo take off and succeed. So there's that.
Yep.
So then are we saying that the stock market is less about finances and more about herd mentality?
No, what it is a very complicated marketplace. Honestly, it's amazing that it works as well as it does. And I would like to see people, instead of just bagging on shit because they lost some money or whatnot, and I'm not speaking even to you or just in general, we have to understand how amazing our world fucking works and that it works as well as it does. It's just try to be more of an eternal optimist, because it's so easy to look around and go, oh, yeah, we got fucking ripped off by... Because, somebody made millions of dollars because they sold Doge at 74 cents. There are people out there that are laughing right now going, fuck, man, I just made $2 million, $5 million. Is it a sucker's bet? Only if you are playing with money that you shouldn't be, playing with. If you're playing with house money, fine. Right? I mean, I put in my total out of pocket for the Doge is about $6,000-$7,000. So if I lose that, my life doesn't change. If I put in 400,000 or took out a margin account and I lost half of it, then I got some problems. So you have to decide. I mean, the stock market is anyone can play. And what I think, again, this is me being rose-colored or lightly blue tinted glasses, that things like Robinhood and some of these other like Coinbase and we are actually giving access to the common man to what only rich a-hole stockbroker types, right? I mean, people love to hate them as much as they love to hate lawyers and cops and everyone else that they hate. We are giving access for the common man. Now, is it your job to educate yourself? Yes. Is it your job to know, caveat emptor or buyer beware? Sure. Right? I don't know. Coach Smith, our guy, remember we did that idiot stock market class in high school. The only thing I took from that was stock market is crazy. People are making money. Then I saw that movie Wall Street, and I started buying the Wall Street Journal and reading it. I didn't even know what half any of that stuff meant. And over time, I slowly, by osmosis, started to learn a little bit about business. Yeah. So I can't tell. There's no quick, get rich scheme. You might get lucky. You might, go buy a scratch and win at the fucking gas station and win $1 million. But I'm saying it will get better for the common man, but the common man has to be a better friend to himself. And don't do stupid things.
What's Dogecoin at right now?
You know what? I have it up, I think. Dogecoin is at 49 cents as we speak.
Yeah, I held on. I've not sold anything yet, so.
So March 5th, it was 4.9 cents.
In everything I do, I'm a pretty much down. I'll go down with the ship type of guy, so.
Yeah, but I mean, as long ago as December 23rd, it was 0.003788.
Yeah.
So again, even if you bought $1,000 then, you'd be way up. And again, do you need that money now? Do you cash out or do you hold it?
Down with the ship.
The last thing I wanted to, because we can roll, but I want to point this out. I remember lots of people laughing at Bitcoin, saying it's garbage. Charlie Munger, who's Warren Buffett's like best pal, was bitching about it. Fiat money that is tied to all these countries like the United States dollar and yen and all that other stuff. That's great. But these cryptocurrencies, I don't think they're going away. That's just my own opinion.
No, you're going to see more.
And I remember people bitching about Bitcoin and saying, oh, it's so dumb, it's not real, da 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 da. It was $19,000 for one Bitcoin, and then it went all the way down to $3,000 of Bitcoin, and now it's back up to 56. So who's the guy with the iron balls that bought it a long time ago, watched it go up, watched it tank, and now watched it go back up again and didn't sell? That's the guy that's going to be rich. It's that marshmallow fucking test, unfortunately, played out in real life. If you don't know the marshmallow test, go to YouTube and type in marshmallow test. There's some fun kid videos. You'll love watching them if you haven't seen them.
Cryptocurrency is here to stay. I have no idea how it works. I'm not a smart man, but I believe that, this shit's not going away. You're just going to see more of it.
I would tell anyone, you got it $500, $1,000, buy some, and then forget about it. In 2 years, maybe you'll have a couple, maybe you'll have $10,000. I don't know. Again, I don't take advice from me. I'm an idiot. But you never know what could happen.
Yeah, I think in wrapping this up, I would say I'm an eternal pessimist in a world created and run by eternal optimists.
What?
That's what I am. You said to be an eternal optimist.
You have to be. I mean, I don't know. I have no choice but to choose free will.
You and Geddy Lee.
Exactly. I love it. All right, buddy.
Can we say Geddy Lee is the smartest man in the room today?
Yeah, I love Rush. But that's a bit sour. But Neil Peart was like an Ayn Rand fan, and I don't know why everyone hates that fucking woman so much.
That's overblown.
No, I know it is.
That whole thing's overblown. he talked about her in an interview once in the 70s, and that fucking thing took off. And that actually caused him to stop talking to journalists.
Yeah, I
So,
know. I felt bad for the poor guy.
yeah. So
I just, I,
people on my side, on the left, who I'm getting increasingly fucking sick of, they fucking ruin everything. So fuck them. And
well, I've never,
God bless
yeah,
Neil Peart.
I've never read Fountainhead. I'm never going to read Atlas Shrugged. Um, I read Anthem only because it's a Rush song, and I wanted to see what that was all about. And I mean, it's a stupid book. I'd rather, it's about as useful as reading Animal Farm. You know.
It's okay, even if that whole bullshit was true. It's okay to admire the awesome talents of someone who might have a different belief system than you. And there was no one on the fucking drums who was more talented than Neil Peart.
Agree.
He's the smartest guy in the room today. Fuck everyone. Fuck you. Fuck the world. I'll see you later.
Hey, do me a favor and go practice YYZ on those new drums. All right, buddy?
Take care, brother.
Later.